So it's been a tough go for Tesla over the past few months, and with the stock just basically in free fall now, I'm getting asked a lot. Do I still believe in Tesla? Where is the stock going? And are we in for an epic crash or an epic run up like some are saying again? Well, don't worry guys, I got you covered on all sides today, as not only will I give you my opinion on that, but I'll also let you know what Wall Street is thinking as well, because of course they have an opinion on that too. Just make sure you like the video if you like getting the truth without the hype, because that's exactly what you're going to get today guys, on one of the most hyped up and down, both bull and bear in regards to Tesla. There's not another stock out there that gets hyped up on both sides as much. So that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. And if you're serious about learning how to invest and how to handle a stock like Tesla that basically moves like no other stock in the stock market, and you want to work directly with me to figure all that out, make sure you check out the pinned comment. Take advantage of the March Madness sale that's going on right now. But we need to get to Tesla. We need to see exactly what Wall Street's saying, and let's get you guys some answers on these questions today.
We bring in our panel to first talk here about Tesla. Matt Tuttle's here, CEO, CIO, Tuttle Capital Management. Matt, you're not negative on Tesla. In fact,
okay, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to stop the video right here before he ever says anything, but I just noticed that I'm pretty sure it's a picture of him next to his dog and the little stepbrothers look there. I have no idea how to interpret that at all. I'll leave that up to you guys down in the comment section to let me know. I guess it's funny. I have no idea. I don't even know if I should find that funny or not. I have no idea. Sorry. Anyways, back to the video.
You know, you're waiting and looking for opportunities, but there's no doubt there's been some recent weakness. What are your thoughts on Tesla these days?
Yeah, so, I sold puts on Tesla the other day, because I think that while there is no Trump put on the market, there is a Trump put on Tesla. Anytime it goes down a certain amount, I think he's going to be out there, doing whatever he can to, whatever dog and pony show to try to keep the stock going, because he doesn't want to lose Elon. And I sold 160s, so it would have to blow through last year's lows, and then I own it 65 points lower, which isn't the worst thing in the world.
Obviously, as you can see, traders are playing trader games, and this guy is a trader by nature. And clearly that's what he does. Now, in regards to the rest of what he said, I leave that sort of stuff out because it has nothing to do. It might very well have something to do with traders trading the news and playing all the different games because somebody tweeted this and somebody tweeted that and all that other stuff like that. Generally speaking, overall, I care about what's happening on the earnings. I don't care that there's a, somebody bought a Tesla, for example, or there was a, show on the White House steps, or whatever the case was. I can't remember exactly what it was now, but nonetheless, none of that sort of stuff matters. What matters to me is what happens on earnings, which we have coming up. And that to me is much more important than a lot of this other noise and a lot of the other noise, both positive and negative around Tesla, that is so hard to ignore. That, and I understand it's been the journey for Tesla for, forever, it feels like, right? You definitely go back into the, mid, 2015, 2016, 2017, lots and lots of noise, lots and lots of stuff around Tesla. Of course, it's different now. It's a very different venue, very, very different side. Obviously, it's amplified a lot, but nonetheless, that's why I kind of stick to those fundamentals there. And I kind of ignore a lot of this sort of stuff because it's more trader games. And he's kind of proving to you right there that, he's playing a trading game and kind of what they're looking at there. So if you're trading, some value in that. Otherwise, I'm not paying a lick of attention to any of that sort of stuff.
I don't necessarily think it's going to go back to all-time highs anytime soon, but I'm also negative on the market here as well. I think, this is just a very tough environment.
Yep, I would agree with them right there. It's not just a Tesla thing. Everybody is hurting. Sure, Tesla's move is more exaggerated down than a lot of other stocks. I would also say that, well, okay, so was their run up. It was also a lot more exaggerated. We bought shares last year in the 140s, and then all of a sudden, 6 months later, you're looking at 480. That's a massive, massive run in a stock, especially a large cap stock like Tesla is, mega cap stock like Tesla is. You just don't, this isn't a small cap, but you got a small cap run out of it, which of course means the pullback is probably going to be a lot larger and a lot bigger than, the rest of the Magnificent Seven per se, which a lot of their moves down have not made any sense as well. So, yep, so far, I'm kind of right there with them that, hey, this is more of a market thing. obviously there's a lot of exterior things going on as well with Tesla that aren't necessarily the best look either, but let's see what else he has to say.
To expect a ton of upside on the stock, especially with everything that's going on with Elon right now.
Yeah, look, we're about, 50% off the highs around. The high was 488. Here we are at 227. I'm not doing the exact math, but you know what I mean. And when we think about the headlines that come out, you have a group of folks who feel alienated by Elon Musk, and so those folks may not be running to buy Teslas. Though it's been heard on the other side that you called it the pony show, right, where they got out and Trump went in and I'm buying a Tesla. And they said something that if even a small percentage of Republicans actually bought a Tesla, that it would in fact help Tesla a lot. Did you hear something like that?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Which is why I sold puts on it. I mean, I don't think it goes down a whole heck of a lot more. I just don't know that it goes up a whole heck of a lot from here either. We run a 2x long Tesla, 2x short Tesla, so volatility is good for us either way.
Yeah, so right there, when he's making points like this and kind of going back and forth, it almost feels like he's waffling in a sense. I'm not going to go down the different narratives, depending upon which side of the political aisle you agree with as to, is this great for Tesla? Is this terrible for Tesla? Because honestly, we just don't know. You can make a case for both. So I'm not saying either side is right or wrong. Just I can make a strong case for both. And, I don't know which one is the right answer, just so that way you guys are aware of my thoughts on that in particular. But I do agree with what he said about the fact that there isn't a massive amount of upside here to go because it's overvalued right now today. Much less, if we got a huge run. I mean, it wasn't just a little bit overvalued. When it hit that all-time high, that was, honestly, way, way overvalued. Now, it wasn't 2021 overvalued. I'm not saying that at all. Obviously, Tesla, in terms of the numbers, there's really not a whole lot you can point to that are not better today than they were back during that run, where that was just, I don't know, that was an epic, once in a lifetime kind of run in a stock there, where it pulled forward, I said years worth of earnings into the now. And that's exactly what it ended up being true there in regards to Tesla. So yes, there isn't a massive amount of upside from here, but I'm not sure there's this crazy bottom out cratering down to $40 or something crazy like that, like I'm hearing on the other side either. So to me, a lot of this sort of stuff kind of seems like, yeah, Tesla, normal business as usual, right? In regards to that, until those margins improve, until we start getting the EPS moving in the right direction again significantly, it's going to be really, really hard for the stock price to command those higher valuations until that happens. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Of course. The question is just simply time. And the time, that's kind of the big wild card that we don't know right now that we've got to try to figure out.
I don't see a catalyst today for it moving up that much. But I do know, the time you want to be buying Tesla is when nobody else wants to be. And
yep, 100% agree there. That is exactly when you want to be buying. I don't know why that is some places vilified. You should be buying at 350, 400. Luke, you're an idiot for not buying at those prices. But I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I like buying at 140 better. I'm sorry. I laid off it. Those prices I bought at 140, 160, whatever the case was instead. So I agree with them completely there on that particular point. That's something us as retail, we have to get better about. We have to get better about staying disciplined and not overpaying for exciting high beta names like Tesla, and instead be disciplined in our investing so that way we can continually and diligently pick up nice cheap shares to where all the volatility in between doesn't really bother us a whole heck of a lot, because I didn't buy those shares at $400, 4 years ago, or $400 this time around as well. I don't own any of those shares, so therefore it's not really bothering me a whole heck of a lot, the volatility, like it would somebody else who was buying at those ranges instead of buying whenever nobody wanted to buy Tesla, just earlier last year, down in that 140, 150, 160, 170 range. When you're prudent, you're disciplined, and you're very judicious in your buys, that makes investing a lot less stressful, especially a stock like Tesla that's kind of a stressful stock anyways to own in general with all the volatility that it has.
Certainly, if we're not at that spot, we're getting close.
Understood. I mean, we did get some recent headlines about BYD's new 5-minute charger, which obviously takes away the worries of folks who say, hey, I don't want an EV because I just want a quick gas tank fill up. I'm not this EV kind of person. Maybe now you are if you have a 5-minute charger. But is the idea that, and look, Li Auto has a 12-minute charger, which makes me wonder and believe that, Tesla must just be minutes away from announcing their own fast charger, no?
I mean, I would think, but also I look at Tesla as a car company, like Amazon was a bookseller back in the late '90s. I'm really much more focused on the future, in the future of AI, which is not me sitting here typing in something to ChatGPT. It's physical AI. It's full self-driving. It's robotics. I saw Elon on a podcast this week, and he thought in 5 years, half the cars would be full self-driving. In 10 years, it would be 90%. Now, they've still got...
So I agree and disagree with those points right there. Yes, I do believe the fast charging thing will come, obviously, even if, yes, Tesla didn't do it first. Okay, that doesn't mean that they can't just copy whatever the heck the tech is that they're doing and upgrade all their stations and all that sort of stuff like that. So I do believe all those sorts of concerns in general will all get solved over time. Now, not as quick as the bulls would say, right? According to them, 90% of the cars were already going to be FSD on the road, and they were already going to be Tesla. And that was a talk back in 2020, 2021, whenever all this sort of stuff happened. These things take time, sometimes decades, to not only do and expand and have the supercharger network everywhere, and to have the ability for it to be just simply like a gas station and nothing more. And that friction point completely gone. And then, of course, to convert people over, it just takes time. That's not necessarily a big deal there. And I do agree with them that, hey, the future is, beyond for AI, beyond just, typing in prompts in the chat GPT. I actually said that's going to get commoditized. I don't think that's a moneymaker for anybody. I just don't. Nobody's been able to monetize it yet. And, maybe they are in the future. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Hey, it's great. I own a lot of companies that are in that space and vying for that space. So I stand to win if they do. But I agree, it getting out into our physical world and a lot of other things of that nature. Yeah, I would agree there completely. Where I disagree is, I'm sorry, it's 50% of the cars is not happening in 5 years. You might be, 10% of the cars in 5 years are that way. Maybe, I'm talking maybe, we're decades away from those numbers that Elon's broaching there. 90%. I mean, you're multi-decades away probably from that. Obviously, I would prefer not, because I'd much rather the roads be much safer and everything else of that nature. But unfortunately, that's just not the reality of the world that we live in, and the way regulation works and the way adoption works and everything else of that nature. It just simply takes time. So again, I hope I'm wrong, because I stand to make a lot of money, because most of the players in the full self-driving space, I own a piece of in some way or another in my portfolio there. So I'm happy to be wrong. But yeah, to take those timelines and not apply those are Elon timelines, not actual timelines, to me is not prudent as an investor. And as an investor, that's how I have to take them. So I kind of ignore that sort of stuff. We'll see. Whenever we get there, great. In the meantime, I have to focus on the fundamentals of the car business, since that does make up such a large chunk of the revenue, and more importantly, the profits. And outside of energy storage, a lot of these other things, I don't think we're going to see significant bottom line hits for years into the future there. And unfortunately, Wall Street is not going to pay years ahead for something, especially those larger institutional investors. It's just not how it works, unfortunately.
Execute a lot of competition in physical AI, but I don't know that I'd want to bet against Elon on being the guy who's able to execute, and especially when you've got the president's ear.
All right. So, you're a believer in Tesla, and when it gets beaten down, you'll step in is the point here. And sort of your mantra. Bob Lang is with us, founder, chief strategist, Explosive Options. Bob, some of your thoughts here.
Explosive options. Yeah, that's what happens with a lot of people's option plays. They explode.
Great to be with you, Nicole. So listen, here's a stock, Tesla, that people love to hate and they hate to love. It's a trading, however, at nearly 100 times earnings, and for 2025 earnings. It's just very, very expensive. There's a lot of competition overseas. It's heating up. As you mentioned, the BYD 5-minute charger is going to be some heavy competition for Tesla, not just in China, but around the world. I think there are a lot of other manufacturers that are delivering cars that are showing some decent sell-through as well, too. The last earnings report, Nicole, huge disappointment regarding earnings, margins, revenue growth, which was anemic. Just 2% growth. The company's delivered 3 quarters in a row of just single-digit revenue growth. And I think, again, at 100 times earnings and a huge multiple to their revenue growth rate, it's just not sustainable perhaps this high valuation going on, especially with an economy that's showing some signs of weakness.
All right, so this guy, well, I don't understand. These guys probably all have millions of dollars, but yet they somehow managed to call in, and it sounds like a phone from 1995 or whatever the case is. Or I had better reception back in 1995 than this guy clearly had then. But nonetheless, I don't agree with him saying that, hey, the competition's here, a lot of these other things of that nature. I'm not concerned with that sort of stuff at all. We always knew there was going to be competition, at least right here on this channel. I wasn't one of the folks out there saying Tesla's going to have 90% of the EV market or anything like that. We've always said, and Elon has said too, the Chinese automakers are great. They do great things. Obviously, they have a lot of advantages that Tesla doesn't have, and vice versa. Tesla obviously has a lot of advantages that they don't have as well. So that one right there, I'm not nearly as concerned with. Obviously, his concerns with valuation, I can't argue with that. Last earnings call was disappointing. Talked about it right here on this channel. Talked about it in my group. We were live there on the earnings call. It's kind of disappointing. At some point in time, you've got to show some actual growth numbers moving forward. You kind of said, hey, I think we're going to get 30% growth next year. 2 earnings calls ago, and then all of a sudden the earnings call comes and you don't give us formal guidance of that 30% there, which of course, ruffles some feathers there with investors, and of course doesn't help us out with that valuation piece more importantly. So maybe we get the guidance this time around because now they're going to announce the new model and everything else. Who knows at that stage what's actually going to happen. It's always wild on the earnings calls there with Tesla, but it is a valid concern in terms of the valuation, especially if we aren't going to get that growth for another year. At some stage, you got to start questioning, like, are we going to see the growth come back in again for Tesla? Although I think the answer is yes. I don't have anything definitive that I can point to say, here's why I think that, if we don't start seeing that growth come in this year.
Thank you both so much. And we had the news of NVIDIA working with GM for self-driving today. Matt Tuttle, Bob Blank, thank you both. Good.
Okay, we'll go ahead and stop the video right there. Yeah, I heard about the GM NVIDIA news. It's a wait and see. I'm not that. That to me is, okay, cool. They're starting to work on it. How many years is it going to take for them to do it? How many years is it going to take for them to make it profitable to where it actually starts affecting their bottom line? That's the key piece right there for me. And that's not something that, oh, they announced this deal and 6 months later, no. This will be years down the line there. So there's not really much to address there. But let's talk about my belief in Tesla, what I think is going on right now. Where the valuation is and things of that nature. I've kind of already given away the answer for valuation. It is rich right now. Unless we get a significant margin improvement this time around on earnings or a significant bump up in revenue or both, more importantly, that valuation is still going to be expensive unless it just completely craters down in the meantime. So that right there is kind of the first piece with Tesla, what we're going to see and kind of what I feel about valuation. Unfortunately, it's still overvalued right now, especially for what we've been getting in terms of growth and things of that nature. I can't find a multiple that I would apply to it that would make sense right now for what we're getting. And even if I was going to say we got that 30%, I still wouldn't give it this high of a multiple right now at its current price, which means I think we really need to see that margin improvement and of course the growth story kick off again. Now, in regards to my belief in Tesla, I don't know what's changed. We hear a lot of noise. There's a lot of media noise, a lot of social media noise, obviously, most importantly, around this particular stock. But he got involved in politics last year. You guys know it. I hate politics. I hate it when any CEO of any company gets engaged on any level, on anything political, controversial, any of that sort of stuff like that. I just hate it because all it does is distract from the company itself and what they're doing, regardless of whether you agree, disagree. Even if I agree personally with what's going on and with what they're supporting or what they're doing or whatever the case is, I still hate it. I still feel it's one of those things to where if a CEO wants to get that engaged in politics, step down for the time being or take some sort of a sabbatical or something else of that nature, come over here, do your thing, and then come back to it. It's just a better way to handle it, in my opinion, of course. Now, does my opinion matter? No, not really. But I know you guys are wondering for my thoughts on it. And it's kind of like, hey, for me, long term, everything's still fine. In the short term, there's a lot of noise, some of it justified, some of it not. But until I start seeing things that are different in the earnings from their competitors, i.e., if all of a sudden I see GM and Ford and a few others, hey, they're seeing all their numbers tick up and Tesla's numbers continue to tick down. Well, at that stage, you can definitely say it wasn't just simply the macro or something else. There's definitely, it's affecting the stock. But more importantly, what you have to judge is, am I willing to hold and weather the storm, whatever the heck the storm is, during this time frame? Now, I had made that decision last year because he was getting involved in politics. I knew that this was going to lead to a lot more. Even after all the stuff happened, he was told, hey, he's going to start this Doge thing. Well, whenever that stuff was all announced, the stock was at all-time high. So if you felt like that was a fundamental change, that was the time to get out, right? That was like the perfect storm in regards to that. So for me, it's just something, I'm in the stock for the long term. So do I like it? No, I don't like it for anybody, regardless of whether I agree with the politics or anything else around it or not. However, I am willing to simply just hold the stock for right now and see exactly what happens whenever we get through the back end of this. And once he kind of leaves this and kind of goes back to, full time with Tesla there, what are we going to see? What's going to happen there? Can he pull Tesla out on the back end of all this once all this is all over it? That's kind of the decision-making thought process that you got to take there. And it's something for right now, I'm taking a wait and see approach. Obviously, things could always change. But for right now, this is something I thought about, really more than a year ago, and made the decision, hey, it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. Maybe we'll get some opportunities to buy the stock at cheaper valuations, and we'll see where it comes out there on the back end. And remember, the March Madness sale is going on right now, where you can work directly with me, see my complete watch list with price targets, see all my buy and sell alerts, to include Tesla if it happens to get down to a better valuation. You'll take those 5 courses for free, get your free coaching, be a part of the best 6, 7, and 8-figure Discord out there. Guys, there's so much happening. Make sure you check out the pinned comment, see if a membership's right for you. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market. And click here to see my exact plan for this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.